Hello everyone, thanks for joining me today. Right now we're learning about health and hygiene. Health means, keeping our body safe and, not being sick. And hygiene means keeping ourselves clean. So today, I want to talk to you about how we can use soap to keep ourselves clean. And more importantly, why do we need to use soap? And how does soap work? So, we have soap like this. This is hand soap. You use this when you wash your hands. We also have soap like this. This is dish soap. And dish soap is very good for when things get oily. If you have oily dishes, this is a very good soap to use for that. But how does soap work? Let's see. Well, soap works because if we were to look at a molecule of soap very, very close, you would see that there's two ends. There's one end that I have here in red, and that end loves water. It loves water. And then you have the other end, sort of this tail, and that end hates water. And it wants to try and find things that aren't water. Right? And usually, when you have oil and water, the oil and water don't want to mix at all. They stay separated. So if we want to take oil away from our body, or take oil off of our dishes, we have to find a way to connect the oil and the water together. All right, so I have a quick demonstration to show you. Here I have a piece of plastic, clear plastic, and I put some oil, some cooking oil on it, and you can see, then I sprinkled some dirt on top. So it's very messy right now, and it's oily too. So if I just tried to wipe it off, it wipes off a bit, but it's still really, really messy on there. So just wiping it doesn't really work. And if I tried to just pour water over it, that'll rub some of this dirt off. Some of the big pieces of the dirt will come off, but you can still see it's very, very oily here in the middle. So it didn't really get clean. But if we add some soap, this is just dish soap, and we rub the dish soap all around like this. There we go, all over that oily spot. This, making sure we get it everywhere, and also making sure you give it enough time to work, right? When you wash your hands, we count for, at least 20 seconds, maybe more. And, so you have to make sure if you're going to wash something with soap, you have to give it enough time to make sure everything's clean. So there we go. So I put a bunch of soap on, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour some water on it like this, and let's see how we did. Let me pour just a little bit more water. There we go. And now, when I dry off the water, we can see, still some soap on there. That's okay, we'll push that right off. We can see that the oil and the dirt are all gone. Now, remember, the oil does not want to join with the water, so we had to use the soap to make the oil and the water stick together. That way, when we washed the water down the plastic, it took away the oil and it took away the dirt with it. So there you go. That's one example of how we might use soap. But now let's talk about why soap works. Again, let's look at that little model that I made with the red end and the white end. And we have one more example here. So like I said, each of these little soap molecules, they each have two ends. They have got one end that loves water and one end that hates water. Right? Wants to find other things. Right? So if we had here, I took a picture, this is a picture of my hand, and it's my hand because it's very hairy, right? There's a hair. And here is a piece of dirt from when I was gardening last week. So here we go. It's still stuck on there. Haven't been able to get it off. I need to make sure I use some soap, right? So maybe if I use some hand soap, what would happen is that we would cover our hand with all these little pieces of soap like this. As we're washing, as we're rubbing our hands with the water, they're all going to be coming. We're going to move them all around our hand like this. Cover our hand in soap. And then what's going to happen is as we move those bubbles around on our hand, as we wash our hands, we move all those bubbles around, the bubbles are going to start to move around. The pieces of soap are going to move around. They're going to slowly realize that, oh, there's something over here that we can stick to, right? So as we move them all around, more and more pieces are going to stick onto this piece of dirt right here. And as that happens, it's going to make a little bubble of soap around this piece of dirt. Now remember, the dirt, our skin is covered with oil, and so the oil, the dirt sticks to that oil, and it doesn't want to come off, right? And the water by itself isn't strong enough to make it come off. So now what's going to happen is we have this piece of dirt that's still stuck to our skin, but now it has a bubble of soap all around it, right? And then if we come through and we wash that off with water, so here's my water, I'm going to wash it off. What's going to happen is the pieces on the soap that love the water are going to stick onto that water really, really strong, really tightly. And that will allow us to pull this dirt. Even though that dirt was stuck onto our skin from the oil, the soap will allow it to take that oil and pull that oil away and wash it down the sink. So that's how soap works. It has two ends, remember? One end loves water and one end hates water. So those two parts help us connect the oil and the water together, right? Because remember, the water can stick to this end and the oil and the dirt or anything else can stick to this end. And so that helps us stay clean, right? All over our body. It helps us, wash our floor. It helps us wash our dishes. There's a lot of different types of soap and they all have different types of jobs, but they all work basically the exact same by connecting oil and water together. So, that's why it's really important, especially right now while we're, dealing with this coronavirus pandemic. It's really important to make sure that you have good hand washing etiquette, that you're making sure that you wash your hands anytime you might go out or anytime you are, touching something or maybe if a package gets delivered to your house, you can go and wash your hands really quickly. And it's really important that you use soap because remember, just like with that piece of plastic, if we only use water and you only rub with water, it's not going to be enough. It won't take that oil away. And if it doesn't take the oil away, then it won't take the dirt away either. So make sure you're using enough soap. Make sure you're washing your hands for long enough, right? And make sure you're washing your hands all over. Because if you don't get, on your fingernails or if you don't get in between your fingers, if the soap doesn't touch that spot, it won't stay clean. So that is some information for you. Now you can, every time you wash your hands or every time you wash your dishes or wash the floor, you can think about that. You can think about how the soap is connecting the oil and the water together and it's helping everything get clean. So I hope you learned a lot and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.